Hi, my name is Ishani Mehta, and I'm here with Teresa M. Pelham and her dog Roxy to talk about their new book, Roxy's Forever Home, which details the life of a rescue dog. So this is Roxy,
Roxy.
She's who the book is based on.
Yep, she's pretty comfortable. We just woke her up off the grass.
So could you tell me a little bit about her? How old is she? What breed is she?
She's almost 2. She'll be 2 this July, and we did her DNA testing to find out what kind of dog she was, because everywhere we went, people said, wow, that's a really neat sized dog. I'd love to get a dog like that. What kind is she? So we did DNA testing, and it came up as 3/8 unknown mix.
Oh.
And the part that they were able to identify was Great Dane,
Okay.
Corgi, Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, and German Shepherd.
Wow. She's a lot.
She's a brown dog. That's really what she is.
So she's from Tennessee. So what was the process like getting her up to Connecticut?
Well, she was found on the side of the road with her mother and her siblings. There were 7 puppies. The mother had been abandoned by a man living in Chattanooga.
Okay.
And because he stopped feeding the mother, all the puppies were hungry. And 2 of them actually got hit by cars.
Oh.
So there were 5 puppies left. And my friend Melissa, she's my friend now, I didn't know her before, but she went and pulled them all and brought them into her house. And they were not the healthiest dogs. They were 5 to 6 weeks old and dehydrated. And Roxy was pretty sick. And once I had found out about all that had gone into saving her, I really knew I had to do something to give back, because these people are really working on a shoestring budget. So that's when I decided to write the book.
Okay. And how long did it take you to get her?
It really wasn't very long. Once they determined that the dogs are healthy, they're spayed and neutered, and they're all 100% healthy, they can bring them up on transport, and they go directly to a foster home.
Okay.
And that's how I found her, is my friend Jan, who lives also here in Farmington. She is a foster mom, and she brings the dogs into her house, treats them like her own dogs. They get to sleep on the couch and run around in her backyard. And that's how we saw Roxy. We were not in the market for a dog at all. I had never even wanted a dog, really.
So she looks so sweet. She's like asleep in your arms.
I know. She's pretty mellow for an almost 2-year-old dog.
So do you think that her being a rescue dog changed her personality in any way?
You know, I like to think that she's grateful to us saving her. People will say, wow, she's really lucky. And I don't think that people even really understand how lucky she is, because dogs like Roxy end up in landfills every day. And just to even say it makes you sick, but it's so true. And it's worse in different parts of the country. It's really not that bad in New England. There is an overpopulation problem, but down south and in other areas of the country, it's a lot worse. Breeders are not the problem. The problem is that people don't necessarily put spaying and neutering as a priority.
Okay.
So when the dogs are left to roam free and just, keep making more and more puppies, there's no room. There's no room in the shelters. There aren't enough homes for them.
Wow. So was it hard for her to adjust to a loving home?
No, because she actually never really had it so bad. She had it bad when she was on the street. She was hungry, of course. But she was never mistreated as far as we know. She went right from the street to Melissa, and she's the rescue volunteer. She loves these dogs.
So she was happy. She's on your couch.
Right, exactly. And then she went from, North Georgia to Farmington, and then to our house. So it didn't take her long to adjust. Like I said, I think they're just so grateful that they don't really want to do anything wrong. She's the most predictable dog ever. I've been into the schools doing the author visits. I figured out last week that I think that since March, probably 3,000 or 4,000 kids have pet her.
Wow. And she's fine with that.
And she does not care. Sometimes she'll just sit like this through it. She'll just let the kids all walk by. They line up one at a time. They take a chance to pet her, take a turn petting her. And nope, she's never, ever growled or snapped at anybody. She's just, I think she thinks it's her job.
So you got a new dog recently. So did she adjust well to that?
Yeah, they had, actually, Stewie had come the same route, really. Melissa got a call saying that there was a puppy in a ditch on the side of the road. He was up to his neck in freezing water.
Wow.
It does get cold in Tennessee. And so she went, got him, bundled him up, and she looked at him and she thought, he looks like he might be somebody that Teresa would like. So she actually did, when she was finding a foster home for him up here, she sent him to Jan.
Okay.
Because Jan will say, okay, I can take a foster or two. You know, if she knows that if she's about to go on vacation or something, she won't take any. But so she took Stewie, and we went to her house on Super Bowl Sunday, and he climbed in my husband's lap, and it was all over from there.
That's it.
He's a good dog.
Has having the dogs changed your life? You say that, you know,
Oh my
you're
God.
involved and...
It's totally changed my
Yeah.
life. I mean, and I never really even was a dog person. I love them. And I mean, I can't even imagine not having a dog now. And it's just funny to think that a year and a half ago I didn't even have one.
Because you were talking before how you took them on a 2-hour walk.
Yeah, that's why she's so mellow right now. She walked for 2 hours this morning. But it changed the family's life, too, because I think that a dog can really pull a family together in a way that nothing else can, really. I think that, you know, in today's world, we have so much technology, and, you know, we have wireless internet all over the place, and TV screens, and everybody's got their own iPad, and I think that having a dog, we'll all sit on the couch together with her. And that's not, you know, you're not going to really get a family of 5 to sit on the couch together and do the same thing. So
true.
I think that's really one way that it's changed us. I think it's also made me a little bit more of a patient person, because I tend to be, I have to go, and it's kind of nice. I just sit here with my laptop and, you know, and write for 3 hours with a dog on my lap. It's kind of nice.
So obviously everyone can see she's a mellow dog. She's in your lap. Do you think that there's a really big misconception about rescue dogs?
I do. Someone actually said when we first got her, they said, "Oh, you're really taking a risk getting a mixed breed dog like
Clearly
that."
not.
Yeah, this is really risky. And I don't think so at all. And I think one of the things that about fostering is that you know a lot about this dog. She lived with Jan for, I think, 6 weeks. So Jan can tell you, you know, anything about the dogs that she has. She can say, you know, the dog's really good with kids, is a little bit crazy about the cats. And that's exactly what she was. She wouldn't leave the cats alone. But she's excellent with dogs. She's excellent with kids. She had a dog recently that was not so happy about little kids.
Okay.
And somebody came along to adopt her and had a daycare center in her house. And she said, sorry, we'll find you somebody else.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about this book that you have, which is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I love the cover.
Yeah.
So when did you take that picture?
Yeah, that was actually during our 9.5 days of no power.
Really?
Over the October snowstorm. I had a house full of people here just kind of keeping the kids busy. And she was just, you know, everybody was kind of upset during that time. Everybody was kind of complaining about all the problems that we had because we didn't have any water or anything. And that was what Roxy was doing. She was just kind of lounging there on the couch having a great time, just surrounded by her people. So we snapped the picture. My friend Jan took the picture, and I looked at it on her screen, and I said, "There's the cover. We're ready." So the artist had already been halfway done painting the pictures. She was going in order of the book.
Okay.
And I stopped her and I said, "You've got to do this one first." So she spent a lot of time working on the cover.
Very nice. So what was the most important thing about Roxy's story? Why did you want to write this book?
You know, I like the idea of the outreach. I like the education part of it. So, you know, I could put it up on Amazon and the books would probably go. They'd discount them and then they'd go. But I like the idea of, you know, having more of a personal interaction with the kids.
Okay.
So, I sell them on my website, roxysforeverhome.com. And I use PayPal. It takes about 2 minutes. But I do like going into the schools because you can talk to a few hundred kids in a day. And, you know, it's funny, the kids have a lot more influence, I think, than we give them credit for. So if a family is about to get a dog and they've met Roxy and they've heard me talk about rescue dogs, chances are pretty good they're going to stop their parents from going to a pet store. They're going to
Right.
say, hey, why don't we adopt a dog that needs a home?
That's great.
Yeah.
So obviously it's about a personal connection. It's about Roxy. So you have a lot of personal bits in there. But did you have to do any extra research? Maybe go down south?
Yeah, actually
Yeah?
we did. This time last year, I was in Tennessee and Georgia, and it was an amazing trip. I'm so glad that I went. It wasn't something that I would recommend for everyone because what we did, I went with my friend Jan, the foster mom. We went down to meet Melissa, but we also went to a shelter, and that's not the easiest thing to do, especially for people who really know what is going to happen. And when we got there, this was in Georgia. The place had just sort of been cleared out because they knew that they were having someone had been hoarding dogs, and then they knew they were getting a big bunch of dogs coming in that day. But there were quite a few dogs that we had seen there. So Jen said, all right, we can take 2 back. So, and you can't just take them right then and there because the way that the fostering works is that we want to keep an eye on them for a few weeks and make sure that they're perfect before they come up north. So we were actually able to take 2 home on the airplane with us because they had already been through that process. So we went to Petco and bought little orange, little hot pink carriers, and we kept them under our seats. And then the other 2 that we pulled from the shelter are 2 that we highlight in the slideshow that I show to the kids. But in all, she ended up bringing, I think, 8 dogs back.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
And so then after you got to that point, then more of the story was what you observed about Roxy personally.
And that really gave me a better perspective on what the situation is down there. And I think it motivated me more to try to get the word out there and to try to sell more books because I'm going to donate some of the proceeds right back to Melissa.
Right.
And so she can, every dollar that I give her, I know what she's going to do with it. She's going to help a heartworm positive dog. She's going to pull another dog from a shelter. I mean, she knows what to do with this money.
Yeah. So would you say that Roxy's story is typical for a dog?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think a lot of dogs do follow that same route. But I think that probably most people don't find out as much about their background as I did. And I think maybe it's just, the fact that I'm a reporter, maybe that was what led to it. And I just, sometimes you just feel motivated to do something. And that was really what I felt.
That's great. I have to give you credit for that.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a children's book. And what would you say is like the ideal age that you want kids?
It's kind of funny because I started out thinking this is pre-K to grade 4 or 5. And then I started doing these presentations at the schools, and as much as the little guys really enjoy it, it's a perfect book for a 5 or 6-year-old.
Right.
Presenting to the 5th and 6th graders has been the best part because you can really have a conversation with them. I talk about rescue and everything, but I sneak in a lot of writing information. And the schools have a huge emphasis on writing now. And to have a writer come in and reinforce the same things that the teachers are talking about every day, about editing and revising. And I'll tell them that, I rewrote this probably 15 times, and I had a whole bunch of people look at it and tell me what was good about it and what wasn't so good about it. So it's nice to actually have a conversation with them. And I think they walk away with a little bit more knowledge about writing and, a little bit about dogs. And we do a song.
Which I'm going to have you sing for us.
Oh, yeah, we're all going to sing it together.
Yeah, it must have been hard because you only have so many pages that you have this huge story that you want to tell.
Right, and that's one of the things that I talk to the kids about is about adding details. So some of the details I had to make up because I wasn't on the street of Tennessee with her. But then I took a lot out too because I didn't talk about her siblings in the book. I just talk about Roxy being alone.
Do you know what happened to her siblings?
Yeah, they all got placed, and her mom lives in Rhode Island.
Oh.
And her brother just moved to Switzerland.
Oh, wow. She gonna visit?
Yeah, that would be great. Well, my boys always wonder if Roxy and her mom would know each other.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd even find out. I mean, she's in Rhode Island, we could go visit her, but I don't know if you'd know, if you could see if they were, interacting in a different way.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. Wow.
Do you guys want to go to Rhode Island and we'll see?
I'm there, absolutely.
Let's find
So you talk about how you want your kids that you go to learn more about writing also.
Mm-hmm.
But just through the book, what do you think is most important for a reader to really understand?
That any dog can be a good dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to spend $2,000 to get a really special dog.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody thinks their dog is the best, but I mean, I'm kind of partial to this one. I
Yeah.
mean, and you know, here are these dogs that nobody even wanted.
Right.
And then my boys fell in love with her, and then we did too.
Yeah.
And it's made us dog people. I actually didn't even really like dogs before, because when I was a kid, I got bitten by a dog.
Oh, wow.
And because I didn't know anything about dog behavior, it was my fault that I got bitten.
Yeah.
And so I don't let those kids leave that room, that gymnasium, until I tell them all about, I don't tell them that I got bitten. But I tell them, I say, you know, if you see a really happy dog running down, you know, the beach, you can go and visit and pet him, right?
Yeah.
And they'll say, no, you need to ask first.
Yeah.
So that's really important, because not every dog wants a 10-year-old running over to him
Right.
and petting him. So we do talk about dog safety and getting the kids to, you know, respect the dog's space, and how to pet a dog. You know, don't pet them with two hands, just one is
Right.
okay.
Do you think like a lot of that dog safety comes from training? So
What training?
training, like, did you have to train Roxy a lot?
Oh yeah, actually
Yeah.
I did, because I'd never had one. I really didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I couldn't see myself in a class at Petco, because these people had all probably had dogs before.
Yeah.
They were training the dogs.
Right.
We needed to train the person here. So we had Deb Mondi come, and she is the trainer for the fire and search and rescue dogs in Farmington. And so she actually came to the house a few times, and she is a serious trainer. And she helped us. She got
Yeah.
Roxy. We brought her to the schools, and the kids could only pet her if Roxy was on her butt. She had to be sitting down. She wasn't allowed to jump up on the kids. And I mean, and now I think that really stuck with her.
Yeah. Do you think that there was a lot of no, don't do that training, or was it more of a I'll give you a treat if you do a good thing, or
Oh
something
yeah,
else?
it's more of a positive thing.
Uh-huh.
They react so much better to positive. And it's funny, I actually read Puppies for Dummies, because I don't know what I'm doing. And they said, really try to catch your dog doing something good, rather than waiting for him to, you know, eat a pound of hamburger off the counter, which is what Stewie just did a couple of weeks ago.
So just to get back to the book a little bit, we talked about how, you know, the cover is beautiful, and the illustrations in the book, they really bring the story to life.
Thank you. I'm saying thank you like I did it. Dina Marie Pratt is our artist.
So what was that collaboration like?
Actually, my friend Jan found Dina at a dog show. I think it was some sort of adoption event. But Dina is a pet portrait artist,
Oh, okay.
and so a lot of times families want a lasting portrait of their animal, their dog or their cat. So she does these very realistic portraits, and that was the type of art that I was looking for. I didn't want it to be too cartoony. And I met her, and she was already very much involved in rescue. She's
Okay.
involved in Our Companions in Connecticut, and so it was a perfect fit. And it was really kind of cool, because she would finish a painting and then take a picture of it and email it to me. And it was like Christmas every day. I just, I'd open my email and I'd go, oh my God, there's my story coming to life. It was so cool.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about like what's going on with the book right now.
Okay.
So you said it wasn't available on Amazon.
No, it's on my website, and PayPal is really is pretty easy. And I get the emails myself, so it's not like some company somewhere shipping it off. I get when I get an email that says that there's been a payment, I tell the kids, and we all run down to the office and we sign the books.
Yeah.
I haven't sent a book out, I don't think, that I haven't signed.
That's wonderful.
Roxy signs them too.
So she did a little pop
Yeah,
print?
she does a little pop print. We made a stamper for her.
So you said that the money is helping animal rescue. Could you talk a little bit about how that's working? Did you have to break even first? Or?
Yeah, exactly. We have 5,000 books that we ordered. With self-publishing, you order the books and you don't really know what's going to happen.
Right.
And we had done the math. I think my 12-year-old had done the math for us, and he figured out that we needed to sell about 1,000 books to break even. And I think that's exactly where we are right now, which is really exciting.
That's
we ordered
great.
5,000 and we sold 1,000. So now it's going to be a point that, it's going to be really exciting in the next couple of weeks where we actually get to write a check and then mail it down to the dog rescue people, which
Wonderful.
is just going to be great. Cool.
So paired with the books, you have these author visits. And where do those go? Libraries, schools?
I'll be doing some library visits this summer. This school year, though, because I just got the book at the end of February. I started doing the author visits in March, and I can't remember how many exactly I've done, but maybe 3,000 or 4,000 kids have pet her.
Wow.
And it's really fun. I had no idea. I mean, I knew that's how I wanted to distribute them. But I didn't realize how much fun it would be. I mean, I go in there and I'm like a rock star. Well, actually, when I first go in there, I'm not a rock star. When I leave, though, then I am, because I'm Roxy's mom.
Oh.
And the best part is when you have to come back for a second day, because then half the school has met you and met the dog.
They've talked about you.
Oh my God, is that Roxy? Oh my God, can I pet her? And the kids really, it's such an easy concept for them. It's a sweet little book about a sweet little dog.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of an easy sell, but I don't think they realize that they're going to actually learn something and have some fun too.
Okay. So how do they usually go? You walk in and you just go with questions, or do you...
No, I start out, I read the kids the book, and in between, I rarely read right through it, because I usually want to tell them something really cool about, I'll say, check out this painting, isn't this awesome? Or I'll make them guess, there's a picture of my boys, and I'll say, who do you think these kids could be? And, it gets them really involved in the whole book, and I'll tell them as I go along, okay, that detail right there, I made that up. And then at the end of that, I'll ask them if they think they can handle the real story, because I want to make them think that they're learning something special, because it's not the real story isn't in the book about her siblings and her mom. And then I have a slideshow of the trip that we took down south, and it follows two of the dogs that were saved, Lucky and Daisy, and it shows everything that Roxy had to go through too. So, going to the veterinarian, staying at Melissa's for a few weeks, going on transport, which is interesting. They go in this big truck, and it takes them a couple of days because they have to keep stopping. And when I say that, the kids always stop for a second and they laugh, because I'm really just talking about going potty. And then they meet their new owners here, or they'll meet up with a foster family here. And so we followed the two dogs and all the way to their forever homes. Yeah.
So do you have to tailor the story and everything to the different age groups?
Absolutely. And sometimes if I'm doing more than 3 in one day, I kind of forget who's coming in next. So one kid, a group of kids is walking out one door, and the other group of kids is coming in the door, and I'm going, okay, they're 5th graders. All right, you guys are kindergartners. All right, we're not going to tell them the true story.
Yeah.
I mean, and you don't cover as much with the younger ones,
right?
But you spend more time singing a little song. I mean, it's just different, and it's easily adjusted.
And Roxy enjoys the visits?
It's really funny. I didn't know if she would or if she wouldn't. I just kind of took her along. I didn't ask her.
Yeah.
She didn't really get an opinion, but she does seem to like it.
Yeah.
It's an exhausting day for her. Not that she has to do a lot.
There's a lot of petting.
Yeah, and we do make her do some tricks sometimes. We'll have her jump through a hula hoop. Really, we will.
So she's really a circus dog.
Yeah, it really is a circus dog, right? She's not that great at learning tricks. It actually says that in the book, and I think I wrote that because I didn't realize that all dogs really like to learn tricks. But she'd actually, she'll do it if you have a treat. Some dogs just want to do it because they want to please their owner.
So the interaction is mostly just the petting, and then they can see the dog.
Right. Yeah. And they'll watch her as she walks around
Right.
a little bit. I mean, she just wants to sniff them and see if any of them have any treats or if they smell like bacon.
And how does the audience usually react to the story?
You know, the kids are funny because, when I first started reading it, I thought, oh, God, they're going to be so bored. No, these big kids don't want to have somebody read to them. Oh, they love it. You know, sometimes with the bigger kids, I'll say, you want to pretend you're 4 for a minute or two and let somebody read to you? Because once you're in 5th or 6th grade, nobody reads to you anymore.
Yeah.
But I think because it's about dogs, I think it's an easier. It's not like I'm trying to teach them about something using silverware properly or something.
Do you ever get letters or anything like that?
Oh my God, yeah! I just got a batch of them. I was in a school in New Britain last week, North End Elementary School in New Britain, and these kids all wrote me these little notes. My favorite part of the story. But the best one was this little girl. She was actually at Vance Village Elementary in New Britain. And she came over to me afterwards and said, here, I have this for you. And I said, oh, what is that? And I think she was in 1st grade. And it was a picture of the song.
Oh.
So and it was just amazing that she was able to do that. She just put it into a little picture. And the song is called Dog Dog, and I'm not going to sing it. But it was written by a man who, when he was younger, his family was black and the neighbor's family was white, and the kids were not allowed to play together.
Okay.
But the dogs were. So that's what the song is. It says, if your dog loves my dog and my dog loves your dog, then why can't we sit under the apple tree? And the kids, I think at first they think it's a little bit hokey, but once they get it,
then they get it.
Yeah.
Does anybody ever say, I'm going to get a rescue dog now?
Oh my God, yeah. A lot of times the kids will ask if they can have my dog.
Oh.
They'll say, is it okay? Could I buy her?
And you're like, no.
Not for $1 million. Yeah, they do a lot of times. They'll say that. And a lot of times they'll tell me, at East Farm School here in Farmington, they were hilarious. These kids will say, I have a connection, which I thought is just a really neat way to start the sentence. And they said, my connection is that my dog is from Tennessee too. And on every school that we've been to, someone has said that they have a dog from the South.
So does that mean that they're all rescue dogs or just...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're just... I didn't realize that there were so many that had come up here. It's pretty cool.
And could you just talk a little bit about how people can get involved with rescuing a dog?
There's a lot that they can do. They can, especially if you have a fenced-in yard, and if you have other dogs, especially... I think if you really are interested in saving dogs, then you can maybe be a foster parent. You can have the dogs come and stay at your house. And usually, if you have a really good dog, it's not going to stay that long.
Yeah.
And your responsibility is to take care of this dog as if it's your own. But usually someone will come along in a couple of days or a couple of weeks and adopt the dog. And I think it's something other than just donating money.
Yeah. And can you become a foster family and then adopt the dog yourself?
You can. Yeah. I think we call those foster failures.
Okay, so that's another way that people can get involved.
Because you want it and my friend, the foster parent, when someone will say, how do you ever give these dogs away? Isn't it hard once you've made a connection with them? And she says that it is hard. However, she knows that she can save another dog if she does that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what exactly would you have to do to become an owner? What's the start and the finish of the process?
Most people end up finding the dogs on petfinder.com. And, you really can find any kind of dog on there. It's not like they're all mixed breed dogs.
Right.
You can get a purebred anything, really. And so that you fill out an application, and it's a little bit trickier than just going into a pet store because they go through so much to save these dogs that the last thing they want to do is to put the dog back into another unsafe environment. So they'll check you out. They'll check out your house. They'll see how you interact with the dog. And I paid $375 for my adoption fee. And then that was it. And then we were off to town hall to get her license.
Okay, so it's not hard.
No, not at all.
It's an easy process that everybody can do.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Love seeing Roxy like this. She's adorable.
She's very stressed out right now.
So I hope that everybody gets the chance to take a look at the book on roxysforeverhome.com and look into rescue dogs.
Teresa Pelham, and I live in Farmington, and I'm a writer. My job is I write for the Hartford Courant. I write a parenting column, and I'm also a freelance writer, and I actually commute all the way from my bedroom to my kitchen to get the coffee, and then I go all the way over to my chair where I have my laptop and my dog sitting on my lap. So that's where I work, is from my house. And I had not written a children's book yet. I hadn't written any book. I had tried a few times to write a book, and I'd write it, and then I'd hit backspace, because I hated what I wrote. And I'm sure that this has happened to you before. Has it? You write something, and then you go, ugh, that stinks. So that's happened to me a few times. But then, 2 Christmases ago, a little girl named Roxy came into my life. And I had never had a dog before. Who has a dog? See, you guys are totally lucky ducks. I made it to be 40-something, and I never had a dog. You guys are very, very lucky. So I didn't realize how cool it was. She is really, really an awesome dog. And because I'm a reporter, I wanted to know all the info about her. So I started finding all this information about her and how she came from Tennessee to Connecticut. And what I found out was that there are a lot of people along the way that really took good care of her, because she might not have made it unless all these people had helped get her from the side of the road to a veterinarian and to some nice people's homes, and then eventually to my house. So that's why I wrote this book. And it just came out in February, and now I have 5,000 of these in my garage. So every time I try to get my bike or my scooter, or, well, I don't ride a scooter, or my kayak out, I have to go all the way around giant, giant, giant piles of boxes of books in my garage. So Miss Jan, do you think that you might be able to hit the PowerPoint, because we're going to read the book? You guys, I know you're big 6th graders. Do you mind if anybody reads to you? Is that okay? Like, so pretend you're 9 again, and you're all cozied up with your blankie, and I'm going to read you a book. So it's called, yes, very nice, very nice, okay. On a hot, sticky afternoon in Tennessee, a little puppy with no name sniffed through a garbage can in search of something to eat. Noisy cars whizzed by, swerving to avoid this little brown dog with white paws. The puppy with no name didn't know what it felt like to be loved. Nobody had ever held her or told her she was a good dog. She only knew she was hungry. She drank from muddy puddles, not knowing what clean water tasted like. As the summer days got hotter, the little pads on her paws burned against the pavement. Now, when you write, do your teachers ask you to elaborate or add details sometimes? So, when you're doing something like that, what she wants you to do is to paint a better picture of what you're writing. You may have a really good idea, and you know what you're trying to say, but you need to add details so your reader can imagine it also. So all of these details that I'm putting in, I completely fabricated. What does fabricated mean? Yeah, made it up, totally out of my imagination. So these were details that I added in because I thought it might be a little bit more interesting to read that, oh geez, it was hot and her little feet were burning and she was hungry and she was thirsty, and I'm pretty sure that all those things were happening, but we added them in. So this painting is Melissa, and she is a rescue volunteer, and she lives in North Georgia, and that's her daughter Emily, who is a 6th grader and 12 years old. One day, a mom named Melissa and her daughter Emily saw the puppy, and they knew she needed help. They called the dog to her car and she jumped right in. They drove the puppy to their home and made sure she had plenty of food and water. The puppy was very skinny and very sick. Melissa and Emily took good care of her until she was all better. Lots of happy dogs lived at their house. All of the dogs took turns going to the animal doctor. Now, why would I want to say animal doctor when I know that there's a perfectly good word that describes animal doctor? What do you think?
For younger readers.
Exactly, for younger readers. So you always want to take into account your audience. Sometimes the dogs were scared, but the car rides were fun, and all of the people at the doctor's office gave lots of treats and hugs. One morning, Melissa and Emily brought the puppy to a nice man who had a big truck filled with lots of other dogs. "Did you name this one?" the man asked Emily. "I did," said Emily. "I named her Roxy." "Well, hi there, Roxy," the man said. "We're all going on a road trip." So what's that called when you have in your writing quotation marks and people are talking and it begins with a D? You all know it? Does everybody know what word I'm talking about? Yeah. What is it? Dialogue. Very good, dialogue. So again, fabricated, totally made up, because I wasn't there at the truck. I didn't even know I wanted a dog at this point. So I added some dialogue because sometimes when you add a little bit of people speaking into a story, it makes it a little bit more interesting to read. The puppy thought that Roxy sounded like a good name, and she thought that a road trip sounded good too. Roxy and the other dogs sniffed each other through their cages. They were all scared and excited. The trip was very long, but Roxy took lots of naps. She dreamed of noisy trucks and muddy puddles and nice people. So she falls asleep and she wakes up. Now this backyard is right in Farmington. That's at Miss Jan's house. Miss Jan is a foster mom for dogs. Who knows what a foster mom would do? What do you think?
Well, they take care of dogs that don't have homes.
Yep, and not permanently though, right?
Yeah.
Right. So when Roxy woke up, another nice mom named Jan carried her to a car and brought her to a house where kids and dogs and cats all lived together. Chickens and bunnies played in the big, fun backyard. "This is your foster home," Roxy said, Jan, "but we need to find you a forever home." For the next few weeks, Roxy went on lots of great road trips. She sat right on the seat and could look out the window. She went to fields where kids kicked balls into nets, and to a fun store that smelled like dog treats and had cool dog toys. Jan told lots of other people that Roxy needed a home. 3 little boys visited Roxy all the time. The boys wanted to take Roxy home, but their mom and dad kept saying no. I don't think I like that mom and dad. That's me, yes. Really, why would we have said no to getting a dog? I mean, and she's perfect, right? Why would we ever wanted to say no?
Because before you never had a dog, so all of you could think of is she makes things messy. It's more work and more to do.
Yeah, and having a dog is a big job. It's a big responsibility. You have to make sure that someone is there to let her out or walk her all the time, and dogs are expensive. So it is a big responsibility, and I wasn't really sure that we were ready to take that on. Roxy wondered if she'd ever find a forever home. Now, these are all paintings that we have in this book. I did not do the paintings. I had an artist who also lives in Connecticut, Dina Pratt. She did all these paintings. When I got this painting, when she did this one, she took a picture of it and emailed it to me. And I was so happy because when I was a kid, I had a cat that looked just like this. Roxy loved playing with the cats and the big dogs at the foster home. Even though the cats hissed and growled at her, she did not stop trying to make friends with them. So one day, when nobody was looking, Roxy caught one of the chickens. But Jan ran out to the backyard and put an end to all the fun. Now, when I had envisioned what this page would look like, I thought that the dog would be actually catching the chicken in the picture. Now that would be quite disturbing if you were a little 5-year-old and you were looking at this picture book. Oh, look, it's a picture book about a dog. And then you get to this blood and feathers and bleh scene. So this is a little bit more calm and soothing. So Roxy did not kill the chicken. The chicken went on to lay eggs for many more months. Then one cold, snowy morning, Roxy took another trip to another house. Jan put her inside a big box with a bow and carried her into the house. Those 3 boys who had visited Roxy so many times opened the box, and Roxy jumped out and licked their faces, which tasted like pancakes and bacon. The boys' mom and dad were in on the surprise and were so happy to see her. Roxy had found her forever home. Roxy quickly became part of the family. Now, I found that to be kind of interesting because we didn't have a dog before and we thought that our family was complete. And now it really is complete. She now loves to visit dog parks and chase after the big dogs. Did you ever see a little dog that thinks she's a big dog? Yeah. Or a big dog who thinks he's a small dog. My friend has a Great Dane that's like this big. Yeah, that's right. He thinks he's a lap dog. Her favorite things to chew are No. 2 pencils and expensive shoes. Roxy is very good at learning tricks. She knows how to jump through a hoop if a treat is on the other side. She knows how to sit, lie down, which she clearly knows how to do, and roll over. And best of all, Roxy knows what it feels like to be loved. Thank you. So here's Miss Jan, and she is a foster mom, and she takes care of the dogs until they're ready to go to their homes. And where did we go? We went to Tennessee. And we saw these very beautiful but very sad dogs in a shelter. But because Miss Jan is a foster mom, she said, let's take 2 of them home with us. So I picked Daisy. I like the short-haired dogs. And Miss Jan chose Lucky because she likes the big fluffy dogs. And they're walking out on all 4 feet. I think that these dogs were very, very happy to get out of the shelter. They look happier already because they're in the sunshine and fresh air. So we stuck them in our car and we brought them to see a veterinarian. And it was actually the same veterinarian that took care of Roxy down in Tennessee. And we weren't sure if these 2 dogs had ever even seen a veterinarian because you don't know their history if they're in a shelter. So here's Emily. Remember Emily from the book? And so the dogs go and stay with Emily and Melissa for a while because she wants to make sure that they're healthy, because you don't want to send any up here if they're not perfectly healthy. And there they go on the big truck. And the trip takes a long time because they have to keep stopping. Just like when you're traveling with a 6-year-old, you have to keep stopping the truck. So we went all the way from Chattanooga to Farmington. Chattanooga, Tennessee. And there they are arriving in Connecticut. That is Miss Jan's daughter. That's one of her sons. And this is her backyard. They're getting a nice bath. And one of the things that is really great about this fostering is that the dogs, the parents, the people who live at the house get to see if the dogs are good with children and good with cats and good with other dogs. Because you kind of want to know that. If you have kids, you want to adopt a dog that's good with kids. Does it look like Lucky's good with kids?
Yeah.
But Jan can't keep them forever. She wants to, I'm sure, but she can't keep them forever because, she'll have hundreds of dogs in her yard. So she found them both their forever homes, and they both live in Connecticut. But Jan kept thinking about these other dogs. There were so many dogs at this shelter. There's Annie and Jasper. We couldn't get a picture of his tail. And Sassy. Sassy had all these puppies. Too many puppies. So when we had been there had just been a really bad storm, and people had lost their homes. And their dogs had lost their homes too. So Jan brought them all up. One or two at a time. There's Jasper. Does Jasper look happy now? There's Sassy. So here's Annie. Annie was a 9-year-old chocolate lab, heartworm positive. She gets adopted, and now she lives in Maine, chasing tennis balls and swimming. He's a little spaz. So there's Melissa from the book. And Melissa will go into shelters and she'll see if there are adoptable dogs, any dogs that she could take out. So she seemed to think that Bandit was cute. How long do you think it took Bandit to get adopted?
A week.
Like 2 days. So all these people that we met along the way are rescue heroes. The guy who worked at the shelter and the veterinarian, definitely a rescue hero. And Melissa and Emily. And these guys who give up their weekends to drive a big truck. And Miss Jan's family, they let these dogs live in their home. But the people who adopt the dogs, I think they're rescue heroes too, because they are really giving these dogs something wonderful. So a lot of these dogs started out just like Roxy, and they ended up just like Roxy. There's the one with the long hair, yep. So since we took this picture, we actually added somebody else to our family. We added a little dog named Stewie, and he looks a lot like Roxy. He doesn't have the white feet. He also is from Tennessee. He was found in a ditch on the side of the road, up to his neck in water, freezing. And Melissa did the same thing. She went over, she got a call that he was out there, so she went and she took him, she picked him up, warmed him up, and sent him up here to Jan's. And on Super Bowl Sunday, we took him home. And he is hilarious. He is the wiggliest little dog you'll ever see. We taught him how to roll over. And so he rolls over 15, 20 times in a row. And if my 15-year-old has been teaching him, he's 5'11", and he holds a treat way, way up here. And Stewie, who is smaller than Roxy, jumps up and grabs it right out of his hand. So we were talking about adding new details to your writing, and I did add some of those details. I added the dialogue and about the information about where Roxy was on the side of the road. There are things that I took out, some details that I took out that I don't tell the little kids because I don't want to scare them or freak them out. But you guys want to know about where Roxy was or what was going on with her? The true story. She was not by herself. Remember in the book it said she was by herself. Who could she have been with? What do you think?
A dog gang.
No, not really a gang, but she was with some other dogs. She was with her mother and her siblings. She was with 5 of her siblings and her mom, and Melissa and Emily took all of them home. And there actually had been 2 more siblings, and they had gotten hit by cars. But the 5 that they saved are all healthy. One of them lives in Rhode Island. Roxy's mom lives in Rhode Island. And her brother just moved to Switzerland. So here are these dogs that nobody even wanted, and now they're wanted so much that their families move them all the way across the world. So I wanted to ask if you guys had any questions for me before you have a chance to pet Roxy.
How old was she when you got her?
She was about 5 months old.
How did you publish your book? Did you send it to an editor?
No, I didn't send it to an editor. I had actually tried to get my teenage son's book published 2 years before that, and it was a very, very depressing prospect because I'd send letters and they'd send me either a letter of rejection back or they'd send nothing at all. And so when I decided to do this book, I just said, forget it, I'm just going to self-publish it. So when you self-publish, you're just essentially paying a printer to make your book for you. Yes.
When we are able to pet Roxy, could you have her do one of her tricks?
Oh, she might do a trick. Do you have a treat? Oh no, does anyone have a dog treat on them? No. What's your question? Oh, that's a good one. So I didn't get to name Roxy. She asked what I would have named her if her name wasn't Roxy, because I didn't get to name her. Here's my first girl ever, and I didn't get to name her. I don't know. I was able to name the dogs in the slideshow, though, so I did name that one Daisy. So I probably would have named her Daisy. What do we got?
Were Roxy's siblings about the same age as her?
They were all the same age. Yep, it was all from one litter. Yep, yes.
When's her birthday?
Well, we came up with a pretty close birthday. Usually with rescues, you don't know their birthday. And sometimes you'll ask, they'll say, oh, it's sometime, in the beginning of the year, and they'll just pick a day. But we got pretty close because Melissa had a calendar, and she had written things on her calendar, and she knew when she had found Roxy, which was, I think, Labor Day weekend, and she knew that the vet told her that these puppies were about 5.5 weeks old. So they were little. 5.5 weeks old is only like that. Yes.
Does Roxy like to go swimming?
No, she hates it. And Stewie doesn't. Stewie's even more afraid of the water than she is. But, you're going to have her do a trick? Excellent.
She's already sitting because she knows I have something in my hand.
She could maybe do.
Let's just back up, or maybe we can hold it.
Maybe PAW she could do.
Okay, Roxy, can you sit? Some paw? Paw?
Good girl.
Can you lay down? Oh, what a good girl.
Yeah. She's like, what did I do? Was there another question? Yes.
Why did you guys go all the way to Tennessee to find the dog?
Because we wanted to go, well, you mean not Roxy?
The other dogs that you picked out.
When we went down, because I wanted to go, when I was writing this book, I wanted to do a little bit of research and find out some more information about rescue and what the situation is like down south. And the situation down south is pretty crazy with regard to dogs, because not everybody down there spays and neuters their dogs. Up here, almost everybody does. Really, you don't see dogs roaming down the street here. You don't really see that. And down south, you do. There are dogs that are in shelters, millions and millions of them down in shelters. Yes.
When did you start thinking about writing a book about?
Oh gosh, I think it was May. So I got her in December. So it really wasn't that much longer. It was only 6 months later. So you want to all take a turn petting Roxy as you walk out?
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.